And Nikki, let's go ahead and let's take, you talked about winning a world championship. Congratulations on that. And you've got some video and you've got some data from that match. Let's take that Japan match and we're going to take a look at rotation 2 because I thought rotation 2 for that Japan match was kind of unique. So
Absolutely.
I'm scouting Japan playing USA. And the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out on that video, what is Japan's serve receive format? Okay. And if we look at this, it's kind of tough to see the numbers on the other side, but we already know what their lineup is. And we know that's what we do is we try to get a view of what it looks like on our side. So we know across the back, from left to right, the passers are number 4, and she's front row. Number 19, who's the libero. And then finally, number 18, who is the other outside hitter, but she's back row right now. Up near zone 2, we have number 1, who's a middle blocker. We have number 8, who's the opposite. And then 6, who is the setter. All right, so now we've got that squared away. Now we'll flip it back. Let's start from the very first ball receive attempt by Japan. Okay.
There you go.
Now, so as we look into this view, what you see right here is Japan's serve receive format in rotation 2. This is how we start. Japan, rotation 2. Here's their serve receive format. All these lines over here are for us being able to track the data on what happened. For example, we're going to play some video and I'm going to write down number so-and-so passed this quality of ball, what play they ran, and the result of that play. Now, how do I do that? I talk it out in my mind and then we write it down. What we're going to do right here is we're going to show the pass, then we're going to stop the video at the setter setting the ball. We're going to write down who passed, what they passed, and then we'll play out the play from there and write down the remainder of the data from that particular first ball kill attempt. All right, so this is what we start with. We call this a raw data sheet. From here, we're just, all right, Nikki, let's go ahead. Let's start USA serving into Japan's rotation 2, and we'll start writing down our raw data. Go ahead.
Cool.
All right, so we know 18 passed the 1. I'm going to write that down. You can see right here. 18 passes a 1. Let's go ahead and see what happens now for the rest of the play. Okay, so 18 passed a 1. In our system, we call that a go. So I'm going to write down a G and just circle it. I really don't know what the other players were running in that because it was a broken play. But we know 18 passed a 1. They set a go. I always put OOS, which means out of system. And we know that ball was dug, so I put a 0. And that ball was dug in zone 6. All right, so we know for this first play, 18 passed the 1. They just set an out of system go, and the ball was dug in zone 6. Let's go ahead and move on to the next play. $18 passed the 2. So we're going to write that down. 18 passed the 2. They're running a play here. It looks like they're running a go, a gap, or what we call a 3, and a back set, which we call a C. So I'm just going to write down and use our terminology. I know everybody has their own. So we know they ran a go, a 3, and a C. We don't know who they set yet. We don't know what the result is. Nikki, go ahead and finish it out. Okay, they went with a go and it got blocked. So we're going to circle that they set the go. We know that it was an error, so I'll put an E, and it was blocked. BLK. And now we know for the second play, 18 passed the 2. They set the go, running a 3 and C with it. It was an error because it was blocked. I'll tell you that once you go through all of a rotation, it's going to look like this. Now, this is entire rotation 2, completely charted out. Their serve receive patterns, their alternate serve receive patterns, the routes that everybody is running, the shot charts of those that actually hit it, highlighted those that were in system. They were only in system twice. That doesn't bode well for them. And then there's some other data on here that you can figure out at the end of looking at a rotation. Let me show you what some of that is. First of all, I'm going to kind of scroll in on here, and you're going to see it says they were in system 2 out of 11 times. That's only 18%. Okay, 2 out of 11 times, they're only in system, 18%. The next, what's their first ball kill number? Well, they got 4 first ball kills on 11 swings. That's 36%. That's a little bit low. First ball kill on a good pass, 100%. 2 out of 2. So that tells you we need to serve tough in this rotation, because if they're in system, they're getting a lot of first ball kills. Overall set distribution. This is either good pass or bad pass. Percentage to the outside hitter, 5 out of 6 times. So 83% of the balls went to the outside hitter, whether it was in system or out of system. Percent to the middle blocker, only 1 out of 6 times. That's only 17%. The ball never went to the right side. I thought that was interesting. It's going to help you be able to set up your block. Now, what's more important than every single serve is what did they do off of a good pass? And we call a good pass a 3 pass, or a perfect pass a 4 pass. All right. So on a good pass, percentage to the outside, 2 out of 2 times. 100% of the time they went to the outside on a perfect pass. No percent to the middle, no percent to the right side. What else can we figure out? Well, we can take all these numbers up here, and we can see that 18 passed the ball 1, 2, 3, 4 times. All right. We know that 18 passed the ball 4 times. And so what I like to do on a sheet is you can see it right here. 18 was in system half the time she passed, and she passed a 2.25 out of those 4 balls that she passed. Is she really a great serving target? Well, it depends, obviously, where she was in serve receive. But that's not somebody that I would typically try to attack. I like to write down what they do in system, their first ball kill on a good pass, what the distribution is on all balls and on good passes, and then the passing numbers for each of the passers. That helps me build a serving strategy, a blocking strategy, and a defensive strategy. The other thing I like to do, Nikki, when I'm looking at a rotation as a whole, I like to know what the rotation is passing and what they're getting a first ball kill at. That goes to the matchup thing that we're going to talk later. If it's a bad passing rotation, I might be able to risk a weak server against them. I may not want to use my strong server. So Japan in this rotation passed only a 1.27 on a 4-point scale. A first ball killed at 36%. I would call that a weak rotation. So I'm going to keep that in my mind for later, and I may want to match up one of my weaker rotations against this rotation, or I may match up my strongest rotation against them and try to run up, runs of 5 or 6 against them if I think that's possible.
I was going to say, well, and also too, I think that it's important that you look at a player's position by rotation. Obviously, 19 is in middle back in this play, or left back. And a lot of liberos don't pass in left back. And so it's important to note as well that their positioning in the rotation could determine a lot of things. Maybe 19 is not comfortable passing out a left back. So that could change your number dramatically from what you.
I think that's a great point. And when they switch that rotation to go to that funky where they bring the setter back and allow the opposite to pass, I might throw one ball at the libero just to see what she does with it. And if it's not a great pass, that gives us more serving options. If she dimes it and comes up with a 4 pass, that tells me all I need to know. I'm not going to serve her anymore. Exactly. So this is rotation 2, and this was the rotation we decided to point out for all of you. But what we've done, and I've already done this in advance, is I've done it for rotation 3, 4, 5, 6. So that now we have raw data on each and every rotation to help us build a scouting report for our team and help us build a game plan to play Japan.
Awesome. And as you see them on your screen, they'll be available to you as well. Todd, I think now we'll talk a little bit about communicating all of this great information to a team.
Good.
So Todd, in talking with communicating all this data to the players, what are a few things that are, first of all, important in when you're thinking about presenting all this data to players to eventually execute? And then what are some tools that you use to do that?
Well, I think the first thing that happens sometimes is us coaches will go through all this data and there's 10 or 11 different things that are on our mind. Our athletes don't need to know that stuff. We really need to pare it down for them and give them just really what they need to know. They need to know who they're going to serve against. They need to know who's the general attackers, who's going to get set the most, and where they're going to hit. They really don't need to know a lot more than that because you want them playing volleyball, not thinking too much. All right. So one of the things that you're going to do is based on, I'm going to show it again, based on this sheet here, I'm going to boil that down for the players and what they actually need to know. And that one's going to look like this. And here is that rotation 2 that we just went through. Let's kind of give an idea of what the players are going to get. So now the players are going to get what the serve receive formation looks like. They're going to give the general routes that are run, where the players like to hit. The other thing I like to do is include that alternate serve receive pattern. Below it, you're going to see the general plays that they like to run. Go 1C, go 3C. Outside takes most of the in-system swings. And then lastly, watch their serve receive pattern because they will mix it up. So this is just one component of all 6 rotations. When I'm putting together the scouting report, we want to let them know the lineup. This is the general lineup, so they can tell who the setter is. We always circle the setter so they know who the setter is, who the opposite is, and then who the left sides and the middle blockers are, who the libero is, number 19. And I also like to put in what rotations a team likes to start in. And in this case, it's rotation 1 and rotation 1. Now, different teams will start in different rotations. Maybe a team with a dominant L2 will start in rotation 2, or a dominant L1, they might start in rotation 5, or a dominant middle, they might start in 3 or 6. But as I'm putting together a scouting report, we have this box right here, and we call it Keys to Success. And Nikki, I saw you had a bingo card, and they'll get to see that a little bit later. But right now, we know based on what we have charted, we want to serve them out of system because in system, they're tough. Out of system, they're really easy to pick on. Next, we want to be balanced for the shots. We get them out of system, watch the tips, watch the rolls. Be disciplined in the block because they're going to try to use the block. If you think back to just our examples, they got most of their kills off of a block. So we want to be disciplined against that OOS, or out of system attack. When we attack the high seams. Now, this is based on us taking a look at them serving and how teams attack them. We know that the setter, from subsequent scouting rotations, we know the setter will dump in both directions. She's pretty active and she moves really well. So we can't assume that just because the setter is moving forward, she's going to set forward. She could very well move forward, set backwards, move backwards, set forward. We have to stay locked and disciplined. So we give them that little bit of information. But other than that, we'll come up and we'll give them what the opponent's defense typically looks like. They might be in a perimeter defense or maybe a slight rotation defense. And then we'll go through and we'll just put in, I'm trying to get the shadow out of the way here. Our offense, we want to attack over the setter when we can. We want to make their right back dig as much as possible. And we want to hit the seam of 1 and 6. Now, when we're on defense, very discipline based to read, max block out of system. That means we want to try to get up 3 blockers when the opponent is out of system. And we may rotate versus number 4. And the reason for that is sometimes 4 can hit balls in that 1-6 seam. We might rotate just a little bit over. So that's it. I don't want the team to know anything more than this, just general concepts, general ideas. And then from there, they're going to go out and have a match. So really, in a nutshell, that's how we break down a team just by using pen and paper. It's not that difficult. You watch a few matches, maybe a few tapes if you're lucky enough to get tape. But even when you're at a qualifier, you can watch a team play 4, 5, 6 times and get a pretty good read on that team. So it doesn't have to be sophisticated. You don't need $1 million equipment. You can just have a pen, paper, and you can come up with a lot of information. Now, obviously, at higher levels, we do things a little bit differently.